Okay. Sorry. Got to get that fixed. Normally, we're a two-man show, so running alone, it can make things a little bit difficult. But yeah, we'll go over the Cardinals game, that big win, dominating win, and then we'll kind of preview the lines a little bit. But feel free to share your thoughts. What was your favorite moment from the last game? And definitely would enjoy hearing what people think about that. But first off, let's get into the news. So, Tutu Atwell is going to be activated off of IR. Uh, really big part of the passing game. It seemed like they were thinking about activating him earlier. It seemed like they were. He ended up not coming back these last few weeks. And we've done good, but you can definitely feel that missed presence. So Tutu Atwell coming back will be a pretty big thing to kind of help boost the offense to an even higher standard. And then Devontae Adams that has logged, I think, two DMPs in a row. I think it is a calf issue. I believe that's what I saw. But either way, that's going to be a tough one to kind of miss right there if Devontae can't play. I think I haven't watched McVay's presser from today, so I don't necessarily. I think it seems like a day-to-day type deal, but Devontae Adams is a really big deal down in the end zone. He's our go-to wide receiver to kind of throw in those 13 personnel sets, especially whenever we end up throwing versus running. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see if Adams doesn't go, who kind of also takes place, because it's not a one-to-one with Puka going in there. I know they have been throwing Puka more in those sets than in weeks past in the last 2 or 3 weeks, but Puka can't fulfill all that. So it'll be interesting if they slot Whittington there. I don't think they would do Tutu, especially since he's just coming off an injury. Maybe Mumpfield. I know they have put Mumpfield kind of front and center, so that's going to be definitely interesting. And then Pro Bowl voting has kind of opened up, and a lot of Rams are on there. I know two of our cornerbacks are in the top 10 voting. Landman is in top 5 for linebackers. And of course, Puka. I don't think Devontae is, which is a little shocking that we have two cornerbacks in the top for Pro Bowl voting, but not the league's leading NFL receiving TD. It's just a little interesting. But yeah, I mean, let's all be honest, guys. Like, when it comes to cornerbacks, I don't necessarily think this bunch is good enough to be in the Pro Bowl, but they have made a lot of progress in the last few weeks. They've done a lot better. I know, got to give credit Manuel Forbes. He has looked a lot better. He struggled early on. I know he's hot and cold, and he's had a few moments in the last few weeks where he definitely needs to improve. But this secondary has a lot of bright spots on it. They're just not elite. They're not like Pro Bowl level, is what I'm trying to say. If they win it, great. Congratulations to them. But that's something we're going to have to look forward to and keep on tweaking and getting better with, especially when it comes to the future. Now, secondary wise, I think safety, it sucks, man. It really does suck that Lake isn't healthy. I think he would have made the Pro Bowl. He was playing his best ball of his career. Definitely deserving. Our guy Curl, my guy Curl, I know I was super excited when we signed him. He was one of the people I wanted us to bring in at safety. He has played fantastic, and he is definitely deserving of a Pro Bowl nomination. I think that as of yesterday, he was number one. So I'm not the biggest Pro Bowl guy, especially since last few years. It's hasn't been what it was, especially when it's like not full effort and everything and it's flag football. But it's good for the players and it does matter for the Hall. So congratulations to all the players getting nominations. I would say a good majority of our players definitely do deserve it. So Pro Bowl stuff, it's not a huge deal. But let's kind of break down this game and go over it. Yeah, guys, this was uh, I would say not unexpected results, but the beginning of the game was a little bit shaky, right? The Cardinals go straight down the field, end up getting a touchdown. Jacoby Brissett, who has looked very good, and we said this in our preview, me and Zach. Jacoby Brissett has been slinging the ball, very efficient. They haven't really had a running game because both of their top running backs got hurt, Trey Benson and the former Steeler. But it coming into this game, I thought our pass rush would have been able to get to him a little bit more than they did. Credit to Jacoby Brissett. He was pretty elusive. He should have got sacked, I would say, 2 more times to 3 more times. But he had some moves and he was slinging it, especially in the first 2 drives. I think the biggest mistake the Cardinals made was moving away from Trey McBride after the first series or 2. But credit to our defense, after they let that first touchdown drive go, they kind of clamped down. And after that, besides garbage time, they really did a great job. And I did state like we should have watched out for Wilson, and he had a fantastic game against us. He kind of fried Forbes a few times. Um, I'm trying to think. I think Akilla was on him a few snaps too. So Wilson had a pretty solid game, top to bottom. I will touch on the offense, flawless. I will definitely recommend. There's the NFL offensive line group YouTube channel or podcast. They have a great video on the Rams and their run blocking, and we haven't talked about it a lot in the last few weeks. And maybe we should talk about it more, me and Zach, when he comes back. But this offensive line has been top notch these last 5 weeks. Pass blocking, run blocking. It is really impressive what they've been doing, especially given the fact that we are moving so fluid. Like we're moving between 11, 12, and 13 personnel back and forth consistently. And the complexities that these play calls have within them, the flow of the run blocking. And this podcast, they're former NFL offensive linemen. They do a great job of breaking down how well this offensive line isn't only executing play calls and their blocks, but they're getting to the second and third level, and these tight ends too as an extension of the O-line. They are getting to the second and third level and executing double teams there too. And it's fantastic execution. The play calling was top notch, and it wasn't McVay this game, which I know some people were like critiquing McVay when he didn't even really play call. It was LaFleur doing a lot of the play calling this week because McVay was sick. And I gotta agree to disagree with a lot of the fan base that was calling him out for the 3 straight passes on the second drive in the red zone. I know a lot of people were disappointed we had to kick a field goal there. Me too, don't get me wrong. But guys, Stafford overthrew Devontae Adams. That the play call was right. He was open. That's a touchdown. The execution just wasn't good in that single play. It happens. You can have a good play call and the execution is terrible. And the opposite can be true too. You can have a bad play call and the players just execute it and the other team doesn't execute it well enough. You have a big explosive happen. But yeah, I saw a lot of people critique that. I think from my point of view, this game was pretty flawless on the offensive side of the ball. When you talk about play calling, is pretty flawless by both running backs. Let me go ahead and pull up the player stats. Blake Corum, 12 carries, 128 yards, averaging 10 a pop, 2 TDs. If you guys are longtime listeners, you know I was a big Blake Corum stan to get drafted. I was thrilled whenever they picked him up. I thought he would be a good compliment to Kyron Williams. And this is the Zach game that I was imagining for the last 2 years, ever since they got Corum. And he's had some growing pains. Don't get me wrong. We've been critical, and I definitely give people credence for his struggles blocking a year ago. And then I think more this year, just his run vision hasn't been exactly the best, especially early on in the season. But the last 3 or 4 weeks, I honestly think he has grown so much, and we're starting to see his breakout in him and Kyron as a 1-2. I I think we have a top duo on our hand in the NFL, and with this run or this with this O line blocking the way they are, if these two guys keep on toting the rock, their vision and their ability to cut, they're not. Neither of them are the fastest guys. Like I would say, Corum's a little bit faster than Williams, but I would say Williams has a little bit more power to him. I think both of them have great. Now are showing very good vision and just ability to make great cuts. And with Corum's breakaway speed, I just think the ability for McVay to bounce off of both of them and and you just keep them both fresh and limited snaps. Fantasy purposes, not great. It could be great, but overall, I would say it's not the perfect situation fantasy wise. But when you're talking about winning NFL games, it's exactly you want to be as deadly as possible with either of them in there. And it just makes your offense so way more dynamic. And the fact that we can go in all of these different personnel settings, get them to come out in like dime personnel groupings. And that podcast I was talking about, they pointed this out very well too. They were not having D linemen on the edges of the formation, so our outside zone runs were just wide open. They were getting like 4 or 5 yards down the field without being contacted. And the problem the defenses are having is if you go heavier on the set, then Pukanuku can dice you up. He diced them up when they were going primarily in dime with all these lighter cornerbacks, anyways. And that's with them going lighter packages. It is just you put them between a rock and a hard place. Now it's going to be very dependent on kind of the matchups we face. The Cardinals are kind of beat up defense. I would say they are better than last year, but they're not perfect, and they're definitely not a top tier defense. And I've said this a few weeks before too. I think you to be able to combat this offense the way that you need to, you had to have elite linebackers and possibly really good to elite safeties or vice versa. You had to have both of those personnel groupings very high level to be able to not only stop the run out of these groupings, but lock down our tight ends. And we can talk about the tight ends too. So Davis Allen and Parkinson picking up where Higby kind of left off. Higby being on reserve, I would have thought that we would see the rookie a little bit more, and we have, but he's been more on blocking snaps than receiving, which is a credit to him. His blocking needed a little bit of work after the first few weeks, so we have seen growth there from the rookie. But Colby Parkinson and Davis Allen have looked really good in the receiving game. Their yak has been solid, their ability to catch. We're very critical of them in the first few weeks. They have turned it around. I mean, we were critical of them last year too. It has been kind of a 360, and this 13 personnel has kind of rejuvenated the entire personnel grouping. And Higby was having a good season beforehand too. Parkinson gets another TD, so 3 for 32. One team, not an amazing stat line, but they did what they needed to do because we were running so well, and a lot of that was because the wide receivers and tight ends were just blocking their butts off. So good stuff from there. Sorry, I'm not used to doing the podcast solo. Stafford, continuing his MVP race. 22 out of 31 attempts, 3 touchdowns, 2 to Puka. Yeah, what can we say that we haven't said already, like on this podcast? His ability to read coverages, his ability to make any throw at any level of the field, different arm angles. The dude has really stepped it up, and that's hard to do because I've thought he has played great every season. In my personal opinion, I still think he played great in 22. He was just injured in the entire season with dumpster fire. I know some people disagree with that, but I thought he played good that season. But he is aging like fine wine. His ability to just be able to conduct, and he's he's like having an offensive coordinator right there, and his ability to check in and out of runs, direct the flow, just know what the defense is going to do. It's hard to stump him, and we can kind of talk about too real quickly. You see it all over the NFL. Like rookies are struggling, and they're really struggling to adjust to this too high shell defense, especially early on. And after some of these defenses get tapes of these younger QBs, they're just unable to deal with the post snap and pre snap, like reading the coverage and then the post snap movements. And especially defenses like Seattle, where they'll like show you man before the snap, then post snap, they'll do like cover 2 on one side of the field, and then they'll do like zone matching man on the other side of the field. It can get really complex. And those reads and a lot of stuff's going on, and you have to know your play on top of that and who's doing what, let alone if you have option routes in the route tree for your wide receivers and then your optional checks and stuff like that. So it is really uh like orchestrating a dance or orchestrating a play. And these younger QBs, it's going to take longer for them to get into that. And that's why you see Philip Rivers coming back to the Colts. And you see a lot of these, and who knows if he'll be able to do good. But these younger guys, especially undrafted guys, they're not they're not going to be able to do good against these defenses because how complex and how good these defensive coordinators have been in the last 2 or 3 years. Like you have seen a dip in offenses ever since really Brandon Staley came up with this too high shell concept, and the entire league basically took off and ran with it. So it is shocking, but not as shocking that you see someone like Stafford with his age and what he's seen and his arm ability do as well as he did in this game. And when you have weapons like Puka Nakua, some of those catches, just beautiful. Puka Nakua, 7 receptions, 167 yards, 2 TDs, just burning them. And this is against a defense for, I think, most of the first half. They were going light, trying to protect against the pass. Just impressive stuff there by Puka. Devontae had a slightly off game. Again, it would have looked a lot better if he caught that touchdown. It wasn't his fault. He had a fantastic route. The DB was like out in middle of nowhere. But you're doing good things when our top receiving TD leader doesn't get a TD and you win by 45. Impressive stuff there. Defense. So let's go over that real quickly. Omar Spates flying around. By far his best game of the season, and he's been really good. The fact that we have a top tier or top 10 run defense in the NFL is because of Omar Spates and Landman. Both of them are just playing fantastic. I know Landman had the pick. It's shocking. We're talking about good linebackers playing on the Rams. That's we've had our bright spots. We did have Jones for a good amount of time, and he was really good. But the linebacking core as a whole, it's a bright spot of the defense now. It isn't the biggest weakness, and that's refreshing. It's refreshing because this team does not want to invest in them, and hopefully they continue to see like it makes the defense a lot easier, especially when trying to play the run, and we are allowing so many explosive runs last year. Makes it so much easier when you have good linebackers. And Landman was such a gem in the offseason, and signing Spates as an undrafted free agent, such a gem. Really good, great game by him. Cam Kitchens, solid game by him. 3 tackles, 1 assist. And Cam Curl, also 3 tackles, 1 assist, and then he also got a sack. I really love our safeties. Kitchens has played great. Curl, again, talked about him earlier with the Pro Bowl. It just sucks to lose Quentin Lake. I feel like it has hurt us in the last few weeks, not having him in the slot and then trading for and losing the cornerback from the Titans. Just got to hope that McCullough can kind of pick it up. He had 3 tackles this game, and we can kind of get a better presence in the slot, because you can definitely tell teams have been picking on the slot kind of with these short and intermediate routes over in the middle. And that's what they were kind of using Trey McBride the first drive or two a lot over. So I wonder why they moved away from that and what the Rams did adjustment wise to kind of, I guess, force the Cardinals to move away from that as much as they were doing, and they found success. But credit Shula and his success there and kind of adjusting from there. I said earlier, yeah, I mean, D-line, solid game, a lot of 1 tackle games by the group. They did great in applying pressure, and there was a lot of bad mistakes by Jacoby Brissett, especially in the second and third quarter when we had our starters in. A lot of mistakes produced by that D-line and their pressure, but you're seeing this issue where not finishing sacks, it's rearing its ugly head again, and it's not exactly against the most mobile quarterbacks in the world. It's not like Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. Josh Allen, where he's so big, he's hard to take down, or Lamar, where he can wiggle and he's quick and he's really hard to get down. We're talking about Jacoby Brissett here, and he looked nimble, but you got to take him down there, Verse. And those were issues we saw last year. And I thought in the early part of the season, we kind of nipped that in the bud. And last 2 weeks, especially with like Bryce Young being able to escape and like run down the middle. And that's one of the main reasons they were able to keep drive alive. The Panthers that game, you got to clean that up. So that's something that does worry me. I would say Jared Goff is in a similar vein as Jacoby Brissett mobility wise. So you just got to be able to keep them in their collapse pocket and finish off the sack. And if these QBs want to make bad decisions and throw it early, like I will definitely excuse that and not blame the D line. But I feel like this game they left some opportunities on the board, and they got to clean that up a little bit. And I'm just noticing Darian Kendrick got a few snaps, so good to see him getting back in the swing of things. Yeah, I think no one else really jumping off the stat sheet for me. I guess we can talk about special teams a little bit. Mevis kicked the field goal. Guys, the last 2 or 3 weeks, the field goal protection unit still looking a little sloppy. Mevis has looked great. I don't have any issue with his balls. They all look accurate, quick operation. They all look like they have good distance. I think this operation or the protection, it's going to have to be worked on in the offseason. You see it in extra points. You definitely see it in field goals. They're always overloading a side and getting penetration. They just haven't gone as badly as when we were getting stuff blocked. So it's progress, but that can bite us in the butt in playoffs. And I don't want to see that. And hopefully the coaching staff sees that in the tape. And that's something that jumped out to me was a lot of that pressure. And it worries me. Like, I don't like kicking field goals, and that shouldn't be the case. It really shouldn't, especially if you're talking about below 40. And I know guys are hitting automatic 50-yarders, but definitely going to have to work on that. And then Ethan Evans had a solid game too. So, yeah, the Rams winning this dominantly. The Cardinals, it hasn't been their year. I felt like they were supposed to be better, and injuries kind of derailed that, mixed with them losing a bunch of close games. They're not a terrible, I wouldn't say they're on the like level of the Browns or the Giants with the injuries, or Commanders. I would say Cardinals are a better team than those teams, especially with Brissett. They just don't have enough gas to keep up with us, and we really are a top tier team on both defense and offense. And you got to have, it's kind of like the blueprint of the Panthers, especially for these middle and low level teams. You got to play perfect offense. You can't have any turnovers, and your defense just has to get 1 or 2 stops. And even then, we had the chance beat the Panthers, and then like in the Eagles, everything had to go their way for them to beat us. And I would consider the Eagles a middling team, in my personal opinion. So yeah, I mean, Cardinals solid team. We just wrecked them to the point where Jimmy G was playing in the fourth quarter. And I love that. Very relaxing. So we'll see how the boys continue this and continue to grow going into the Lions. And let me go ahead and pull up the Lions. Lions have a top 5 offense. Their defense has been a very sporadic defense. I like their new defensive coordinator personally. I like his attitude. They have gotten a lot of injuries. Brian Branch is out for this game, so that's going to be an issue. I believe they're missing Arnold too in the second level. So like missing your top 2 DBs against Puka Nacua and potentially Devontae Adams. Hopefully Devontae Adams is good to go for this game. That's going to be a little bit tough. Dan Campbell likes to go for it. He's had a few games this season where it's really bit him in the butt, and they've lost because of it. But let's kind of together uh, go through there's like overall their schedule and like see why is it showing me last year's schedule? This is annoying. Da, 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 da. Excuse me. Okay. So they win in week 1 against Falcons. Falcons are a bad team, and frankly, they barely won that. Oh, sorry. That was preseason. Okay. Week 1, Green Bay, they lose pretty convincingly. That's a good win. That's a pretty good win. I would say the Packers are very hot and cold, or not a good win. That's not a bad loss. I would put it that way. Packers are very hot or cold. They blow out the Bears. Bears week 2, NFC North. I would say those are very good teams, but imperfect teams, kind of similar to the Rams last year. A team that they have a certain way they can win, but they can't win every way. So, like, if you get up high, like, there is chance you can blow these teams out. So they blow out the Bears. They blow out the Ravens. I believe Lamar still played in that game. And then they beat the Browns. I mean, Browns not impressive. They beat the Bengals. That's also not that impressive. Without Burrow, I think Flacco was in that game. And then they lose to the Chiefs. Chiefs aren't that good. They beat the Bucks. Then they lose to the Vikings. That's really embarrassing. And then Commanders, which Commanders are terrible this year. They lose to Philly, and you guys know what I think about Philly. They win in the overtime against the Giants, which I'll say this. The Lions should have lost this game. The Giants are better than their record shows. Their coaching staff was atrocious. I think they had 5 blown double-digit leads in the fourth quarter in 1 year. Just insane. So, and I don't know if that was 1-2 with the Lions, but that's just really sad they were in overtime with the Giants out of all people. And then they lose to the Packers again. And then they beat the Cowboys pretty convincingly. I mean, they let the Cowboys hang in there for 3 quarters a little bit. So the Lions are one of those teams where, and I posted this on our account, if they get above 100 yards rushing, they have only lost 4 of those games in the last 2 years. Only 4 getting above 100 yards rushing. If they get below, they have lost all 4 of those games where they gone below 100 yards rushing total. So it really is. You have to try to make Jared Goff throw to win this game. And Jared Goff hasn't played particularly well against us. They have won the games last 2 times, but he hasn't thrown particularly well. He hasn't thrown terrible, but, he hasn't thrown great. I mean, Stafford's had a good game each one of those times. So you stop the run, make Goff throw, and then just take advantage of the secondary being weak. Keep Stafford clean because their D-line does have gas. They are good. They're good at getting pressures. I don't think the sacks have been fully there, but that's a D-line I really like. And I feel like our O-line has to keep playing at the caliber they have been playing. And we have a really good chance of beating this team. Yeah, I'm trying to think what else could be a big factor. Uh, I guess special teams too. Uh, I think they've had a few good really returns. So like keeping that bottled up. Our coverage units looked atrocious at the beginning of the year. Last few games haven't they haven't looked great, but they haven't been bad. So hopefully that continues that rate. And this is definitely a team that if they're struggling to run and they're throwing decently, you cannot gift them free points on like a special teams touchdown or like a block kick or anything like that. That's going to be one of the biggest sticking points is not giving them free possessions. So, definitely got to do that. It should be a good game. I would probably do the over if you're a betting person. I'm not a real big betting person, but it is what it is. Well, guys, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you follow us on socials. Please like and subscribe if you haven't. On YouTube at East Coast Rams. You can find us audio wise on Spotify, uh, Apple, and then Google Podcasts, all the podcasting apps. Uh, that's about all. Like I said, thank you guys so much. Merry Christmas. Hopefully, everyone can pray for Zach. He's still getting over something. So hopefully that doesn't go crazy. And you guys know when you have kids and a family, it can spread like wildfire, and it's not fun for anyone. So hopefully he gets a little bit better and he enjoys a week off. Uh, yeah, I would. Uh, Yeah, sorry, I'm reading through everything, make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, if you guys don't mind, like, subscribe, and as always, horns up, and let's get that dub. Let's get that dub on Sunday. Adios.